Thanks for joining us for another Tantrum House crowdfunding conniption. Today we are looking at Algae Inc. from Game Brewer.
We want to make sure that you know before we jump into this video that all of our crowdfunding videos are sponsored in part by our own Kickstarter backers, as well as by the creators of this game. Hey gang, thanks for joining us at Tantrum House Studio 3. I'm Will Meadows.
And I'm Sara Meadows. Today we are talking about the game Algae Inc. from Game Brewer. It's from designers Julia Thielman and Christoph Wage and features art from Maxime Sartho.
Algae Inc. is an action selection tech tree game that takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours to play. In the game, you take on the role of a production manager for Algae Inc. You're in charge of manufacturing a unique line of algae-based products.
Yep, now we aren't going to give any opinions in this video, but we want to make sure you're aware how the game plays so that you can make an informed decision when it comes to backing the game.
In Algae Inc., the main board features 4 types of algae in tanks that players will use in their factories, and 2 types of algae byproducts created in the factories.
To set up the game, you'll populate the export map and set up the delivery bonuses.
In the game, each player has a unique board with factories and teams of people creating different products, including food, cosmetics, biofuel, and plastics.
Each player's science board contains upgrades for your factories, bonuses for completing your exports, as well as their contract and endgame scoring.
Algae Inc. is played over 4 weeks. Each week will begin by gaining income and then activating your operators, engineers, and scientists.
Then, in turn order, you'll move your worker up the board, selecting an action from each row. The actions may include to add a new member to your team, to take one of your team actions, or to power up one of your 3 factories.
Your next action will be a choice from either path.
Factories can handle 2 cubes at a time unless they've been upgraded by your engineer. Each product has a different path to take on the conveyor belts, and sometimes a byproduct is created. This can be sold for cash or can be turned into energy.
More algae tanks can be unlocked using your scientists, allowing you to create additional products on new conveyor belt lines. These unlocked tiles will go onto your science board. You'll pay the cost to place it and gain the bonuses covered and possibly collect in-game points.
Once a product is finished, it can be exported using the operator's action. The market value is determined, and extra tokens can adjust it to meet the demand of a location.
Exporting to a new city will offer you a bonus token, but it could be costly for the transportation.
Delivery achievements could be acquired, and this will open up the 2x tiles, which can be saved to gain additional income or can be spent to take an additional action on your turn.
Once players have finished the week, energy track bonuses are gained, new algae is grown, the action board will flip, and if you manage to make an export, you'll be able to upgrade one of your teams that week.
After the 4th week, additional points are scored for the bonus you ended on, for completing your personal contract, for your end of the month bonus, and for your largest group of science tiles.
Then the player with the most points wins.
In Algae Inc., you are the role of the production manager in charge of a specific product line, all created with algae. So there's the 4 different ones, and each factory itself is going to be unique. So like the cosmetic line, you might be making a certain type of lotion, and that product could be run through the conveyor belts a second time to refine it to get a better product that's worth more money and market value at the end. The food board, some of them, like the candy, can be created very quickly, but you have to be able to export your products right away because food will spoil and then you have to throw it away. So each board will have something that it's focusing on and some different ways to gain those products to export.
Right, so even though in the game you're going to be playing very similar roles, each board is unique, and so everybody's going to get a slightly different experience, even though the basic turn order is going to be the same. Everybody's basic powers are going to be the same. However, especially your manufacturing portion is going to be just a little bit different from everybody else's. One of the things in this game that starts off very well is that even in the 4-player game, 4 different roles, everybody's going to be pulling their ingredients from different algae vats, and so everybody's going to start off on very similar footing. However, as you get into the game, this game is about thinking ahead, planning, and working your way down that assembly action line so that you are getting the most bang for your buck, I guess. Is
Yeah.
there bucks in here? Euros. It's euros in this game.
Yes, it is euros.
That action selection board is a two-way path. So you're going to have usually two options for your next turn each round. One of the things that we didn't mention in the setup for the rule is that you do have a couple of tokens that are going to allow you some freedom of choice, because the way you go down that path is going to determine your success in the game. So there are some wild tokens which are going to give you the opportunity to activate a different lettered factory than what's printed on the board, or activate a different colored player. In the game, you also do have the ability to change your resources kind of back and forth freely on your turn as necessary. Those extra wild tokens allow you to take whatever action you want in the game, and that's going to be important because when you head down some of these paths as you're planning ahead, you're going to come to some dead ends or more useless actions based on what your needs are, and so you're going to have to spend some of those tokens as you go.
Yeah. Those tokens can be gained in the game by gaining more team members. So the team member tracks will have some bonuses for hiring new people. The board that has the map with the for your exports is going to have some extra tokens that if you're the first player to that slot in that city, you will gain a bonus. Now, sometimes you'll have to think through, you don't have to always travel to new cities to make an export. You can make one export in each location. However, if you're the first, you'll get a bonus, and those will be things like engineering tokens that you'll use to upgrade your factory parts. It could be market value, so you can make a product worth more by hyping it up. It may be cash, it may be some extra science research. So there are some additional things you can gain by spending money to travel to new locations on the map. There's also those bonuses for endgame for completing certain things. So, and they start off easy on the track and get more difficult down the line. And so those are able to give you some additional points for being first to complete those. So it might be a specific city in an area. It might be going to two specific cities like Madrid and Rome. It might be gaining a certain number of total places that you've needed to go to. So there's a lot of variety in the types of things and places you'll need to go on the map.
And that really is going to be one of the keys to winning this game. If you just are manufacturing materials, you're not going to score enough of those in-game bonus points to win the game. So you're going to have a different game experience based on what those goals are on that left side. You got to make sure that you achieve some of those and strategically line up and build your factory for those purposes. Otherwise, you're not going to end up, you're going to be, you're all going to be competing for production. That's where your victory is probably going to come from. Now, we didn't mention it, but this is all obviously prototype components in Game Brewer that we're looking at. If you're curious about all the other things going on in the game, you can learn more on their Kickstarter page, and that's where you'll be able to find out exactly what all the final rules are and everything. But this is it's a meaty, lots of choices types of game where you are going to definitely be having to plan ahead, look several steps ahead of yourself. If you enjoy those types of games where there's lots of upgrading and unlocking and planning and engine building and tech tree growth, then definitely check out Algae Inc. from Game Brewers now. And then, as always, thank you guys so much for tuning in, following along, liking all of our videos here at Tantrum House. That's a lot. I learned a lot about algae. I did not know any of these things beforehand, but yes, very thorough.
Who knew algae could be so fun?